Hearing Mord's answer, the old man gets shocked and asked Mord that why did he had spilled blood onto the stone. Mord replies that he had done so in order to obtain the world fragment. He then thinks that what is going on, as according to the novel, Aiden has obtained the fragment in the same location, but he didn't meet with the god of combat, Vernars. Mord then runs his own calculation and comes to a conclusion that the god of combat can only be awakened when he is offered blood from his own bloodline. The shadow then tells Mord that the meaning of him waking him up and the reason why he left behind the shadow is to teach him divine blood embodiment. Mord thinks that if he is going to teach him how to properly utilize the divine blood power, he then questioned him that wouldn't it be better if he just impart his teaching to his future generations? That would be great. But there's one doubt. Will all the generations reach the stage of being able to teach the subsequent generations? The man said to Mord. He also further tells that the talent of utilizing divine blood is proportional to one's concentration of blood. But however, the generational cycle repeats and human blood is mixed, causing the blood of the god of combat to thin out. In other words, the later generations will find it difficult to properly use the divine blood power. But through learning, one can develop it to a certain extent. Even so, the issue is if there's someone who's able to teach that, and that's why the god of combat's grave was made. It's a training ground for descendants and a method of teaching. When one can properly embody divine blood and instinctively reach that stage, he can perfectly use the power of divine blood. Mord also thinks that during this 500 years, the blood of the god of combat has thinned out by a lot, and the reason why the Archduke Vernars is the villain is because he broke a taboo caused by the limitation of thinned-out divine blood. Mord gets it that it is a golden opportunity for him, even though he is able to awaken divine blood, but he cannot maintain this for too long, so he has to train harder in order to completely embody divine blood. Mord gladly agrees to take his training and asks him that how he is going to train him. The old man smiles and says that they will fight over and by getting beaten over and over, he will learn the technique. Mord makes an annoyed face and says that if he is basically saying that he is not going to teach him anything other than fighting with him, the old man replies that that's how he learned how to fight and tells Mord to stop making that face. Don't you think I'll die before I learn how to do it? My ribs broke just before Mord says this to the old man. The old man asked Mord to check if the pain is still there. Mord taps his chest and gets surprised, so see that there is no pain in his ribs. The old man then says to Mord that he has two good news for him. The first one is that as long as they are in this area, both injuries and mana will regenerate immediately. And secondly, he will not be his opponent. At that time, a young man jumps from the top the dragon and lands on the ground with a huge impact. The young man then gets up and looks at Mord and laughs. Seeing this young man, Mord recognizes him as the 10-year-old god of combat, and by seeing that his hair is not silver, Mord figures out that at that time he hasn't gotten to the stage where he can completely use divine blood. The old man tells Mord to fight this 10-year-old god of combat, which is a bit suitable for him. What do you mean, suitable? He won't be able to withstand one punch, the 10-year-old Werner says this. He also further tells Mord to run away, as it will be quite embarrassing for him to get beaten by a 10-year-old kid. Seeing the 10-year-old Werner's, Mord gets impressed as he has such a nice physique in this young age. But however Mord thinks his physique is superior of this kid, he then tells Vernars to shut his mouth as there's a saying that empty vessel make the most noise. Then by unleashing his divine blood, Mord tells Vernars to unleash his own and get ready to fight. Vernars tells Mord that he don't use divine blood, as if he does, that he will be killed. Hearing this, Mord gets angry and attacks Vernars. As he attacks, Mord found that Vernars was not bluffing about his powers as soon as he attacks Vernars, knocks him out within 10 seconds. The young Vernars then asked the old one that if he is really his descendant. The both of the Vernars talks to each other about Mord's lacking of fighting experience and thinks that they now have to teach him how to fight. Mord has come to his senses, and as he hears this, he feels ashamed of him. The old Vernars then asked Mord that even though he has unleashed his divine blood, so why he is unable to fight properly. Mord replies that he has never learnt how to fight. Vernars founds it a bit confusing, because as a descendant of the god of combat, How come he has never learned how to fight? Mord then explained him about the processes he went through to get here, and the way the Archduke's blood was being managed. Hearing this, Vernars gets angry, as he didn't like the way the family is running and says that if he gets out of here, he would have gone to rampage. The old Vernars then tells Mord to leave this matter aside and tells him to follow his instructions as he will guide him so that he can go against the 10-year-old Vernars. After that, 11 rounds has finished, and in this rounds Mord was unable to lay a single blow on the young Vernars. After getting instructions from the old Vernars, Mord was able to put a fight, but all of his attacks gets blocked, and he ultimately loses. Like this, 74 rounds has passed, and Mord is improving, but the young Vernars is not an easy opponent. Mord learns how to punch properly and to change the trajectory of his punch. But the young Vernars knows this all, and easily dodged the punches and kicks Mord in the face and sent him flying. Mord gets instantly recovered, but the young Vernars rush towards him and punched on his side and mocks him by saying not to be scared as he is not going to die in this place. By looking at Mord's face, the young Vernars asked Mord that if he is frustrated to see that none of his attacks are working on him. Mord didn't say anything as he gets that he is slowly getting stronger because in this round he was able to touch Vernar's face. Then again, the fighting starts, and Mord is beaten one-sidedly. After 272 rounds, Mord tells the old Vernars that changing the trajectory of the punches is not working. The old Vernars tells Mord that he needs to make an opening. Mord understands this, and in the next fight he sees the movements of the 10-year-old Vernars. As Vernars gets close to him to counterattack, Mord sees this coming and quickly jumps high in the sky. Vernars gets shocked to see this, and as he looks up, he sees that Mord is already above him. Mord then uses his divine blood power and kicks on Vernar's head and smashed his face on the ground. The old Vernars gets impressed to see that Mord is putting all the things that he has learnt into action. Mord also gets happy as after so many rounds he gets to land a clear hit on the 10-year-old Vernars. After that, the 10-year-old Vernars gets up with sudden outburst of mana, and he makes an impulse ball in his hand and tells Mord that as he is getting used to it, he will no longer go easy on him. Young Vernars throws the ball at Mord. Mord tires to stop it with his hands, but he is been pushed back, and if this goes on, his body will be shredded into pieces. Mord then looks at the old Vernars and thinks that why is he not stopping him? As Mord gets distracted, the young Vernars uses his moment and punched Mord hard. Getting hit, Mord flies away and hit the wall and spits blood from his mouth. Even after seeing the injured and hopeless Mord, the young Vernars didn't stop his attack and continuously punched at Mord's stomach. Mord screams in pain and blood comes from his mouth. Young Vernars then grabs Mord's hand and throw his in the sky. He then jumps above Mord and kicks him, and he hits the ground and shatters it. Mord's divine blood state is gone, and he is unable to activate it. He is also in a state where he is unable to move his fingers. While Mord is laying, he hears something cracking and sees that the dragon's head is falling on him. As he is unable to move, the head falls on him. Seeing the huge explosion, the young Vernars gets happy, but Mord comes out of it without any injuries. At the right time, his body gets recovered, and he pushed the head and shatters it. Seeing this, the young Vernars admits that Mord has guts. Mord gets up and sees that the part of the stone is over his leg, and he is unable to move his leg. The young Vernars jumps from above and starts to fall towards him. Mord gets panicked as he is unable to use divine blood power as his mana is completely drained. He needs 8 seconds to replenish his mana. As young Vernars is falling, Mord starts to count down the seconds. Now Mord needs 4 seconds, but Vernars is close to him. But Mord didn't panic and puts a smile on his face and takes a small stone and shoots it in the Vernar's eyes. Mord's attack landed accurately, and Vernar's eyes gets red from getting hit, but the stone. Vernars is unable to see with his eyes, so his punch landed on the wrong place. Vernars gets angry and activates his divine blood and punched at Mord with his full strength. At that moment, the time needed for Mord to activate his divine blood gets completed, and he actives his divine blood and quickly dodged the punch. The punch hits the ground and leaves a huge dent on it. Mord then rushed towards Vernars from his back, and as he is about to punch him, Mord mocks Vernars a bit. He says to Vernars that he thought that he would be death if he awakes his divine blood, but now it seems like he is getting beaten instead. Saying this, Mord lands a clean hit on Vernar's face and gets shocked to see that the punch has no effect. Vernars says that the punch is so soft, and he asked Mord that if he thought that he would be able to crack his skull with this soft punch. Vernars gets mad and he garbs Mord's neck, and on the other hand, he creates an impulse ball and tells Mord that he will now show him what he needs to do. As the impulse ball is about to hit Mord, the old Vernars told them to stop. As the young Vernars didn't stop, he steps in between them and he pushed Mord back and blocks the impulse ball with his hand. Seeing him, the young Vernars tells him to move aside. The old Vernars then questioned him that what he is doing, as he sure explained him before, that their role is to teach their descendants. The old Vernars then declares the end of the training. The young one rebels and says that would he have said the same thing if he was in his position. Hearing this, the old man gives a deathly look, and by seeing this, the young Vernars backs off. Mord sees this and feels relieved. At that time, the whole place starts to shake, and some cracks has also appeared in the sky. Seeing this, the old Vernars tells Mord to come closer to him as he has something to give him as the reward of the training. As Mord gets closer to the old man, he tells Mord that it seems like that he has another god's blood other than his. The old Vernars also says that he never thought that the other god's blood in Mord's body is from a greater god, and also it is his father, the god of the heavens, Arita's blood. The old man explained the reason that why Mord's bloodline of Arita is able to preserve itself in his body is because when he have become a separate entity, parts of Arita's bloodlines are part of the Vernars. The old man then thinks that how stronger Mord will be with this blood combination. The old man then rewarded Mord by giving him the blessing of the body of the god of combat. With this blessing of the god of combat, Mord will be able to awaken that authority. The old man puts his fingertips onto Mord's forehead and passed a lightning-like thing onto Mord's whole body. Mord feels more powerful, and he also gets a bit confused as the term body of the god of combat has never appeared in the novel. As the place starts to break, the old man bid Mord farewell and says that they will meet again soon. Mord sees that the 10-years-old Vernars is pissed off, so he praises him for his strength and says that even if the current generation ganged up on him, they will probably lose to him. He also thanks him because he has learnt a lot of things from him. Hearing this, the young Vernars gets a bit shy and tells Mord that there is no need to state the obvious. He then tells Mord that there are a couple more sites that the god of combat has left behind other than this grave. And since it seems like this is the end, he tells Mord to try looking for the other sites. Mord replies that he will surely look for the other sites. At that time, the whole place gets destroyed, and Mord finds himself laying in a dark room. He gets up and sees that the world fragment is in front of him. The world fragment is a tool used by great ancient gods when creating this world. Thus, a piece of a perfect world. Aiden used these world fragments to gain immense power, eventually leading the world to an end. However, since Mord took the world fragment first, Aiden won't be able to grow as strong as in the novel. From Aiden's perspective, he will surely be furious that an extra stole his power, but Mord hopes he understands that this is all for a real happy ending, and this is how Mord successfully acquire his first world fragment. In the outside world, we can see Erna Vernars is sitting on a tree branch and is writing something. At that time, her subordinate comes and gives her the news that Mord has come out of the god of combat's grave. Erna says that she already knew it, and that's why she is planning to be a nice sister. Unlike the other families, the candidates for successor of the Vernars family were not just the Archduke's children. All children of the Archduke and children of all traditional bloodlines of the same generation were able to compete as a successor candidate. Each successor candidate slowly increased their forces by gathering warriors of Vernars. At this point, there were 5 candidates that were in close contention for the position. The 7th child, Erna. The 6th child, Viden, the 4th child, Huran, the 3rd child, Dren, and the Archduke, Aren. The news that Mord cleared the grave of the god of combat had an immense effect on all of them. We can see the sixth child, Viden, is drinking his tea and tells his subordinate that the other successors will surely force Mord to join them. He orders his subordinate to bring Mord on their side before the other successors. After that, we can see at the castle of Archduke Vernars in the outer castle, First Region Mord is given a place to live there. He is also provided with 2 servants that will be in his service 24/7. Mord thinks that because he is of Vernar's blood and he has awakened his divine blood, so the family is treating him well as they have permitted him to stay in the outer castle First Region. This outer castle First Region is the region where only the most rich are able to stay and most ordinary warriors stay in the second region. But they are giving Mord to live in the first region is quite impressive. It's not the end, they have also provided a huge training space for Mord near his place. Mord feels that he has become a noble as he has servants and a huge palace like this. At that time, some people knocks at the door and calls for Mord. The maid opens the door and 2 warrior gets inside. Warriors can be split into 4 ranks: normal warrior, intermediate warrior, advanced warrior, high warrior. And by looking at the 2 warriors, Mord gets that they are intermediate warrior. The warrior says to Mord that they are here to deliver a message from young Master Dren. One of them starts to read the message, which says that, "Sir Mord, I heard stories about you. Impressive. As I believe that your talents will be of great use, I hope that you will serve me as a warrior of mine. I promise that you will receive the greatest of welcomes." After hearing the message, Mord asked them, "Who is this young Master Dren?" Mord is unable to remember Dren, as there were many successors in the novel. Hearing this, the warriors gets angry and shouts at Mord that he is ignorant, and if he is trying to start something with them. Mord replies that he honestly cannot remember. At that time, another voice comes which asked Mord that, then if he know who young Master Viden is. The warriors turns around and gets shocked to see Wolves is here. Mord remembers that Viden is the 6th young master, and by looking at Wolves, Mord gets that he is also an intermediate warrior, and he has something more than the Werner's blood. Wolves then talks with the other warriors and says that he is here for the same reason they are here. The other warrior gets mad at Wolza and tells him to get lost as they have arrived earlier. Wolves mocks them because they use orders when they lack in strength. The warrior gets angry and tells Wolves to go outside with them. Hearing this, Woolsey gets angry and gives a death look and tells them to get out before he destroy them in the name of teaching his juniors. Seeing Woolsey mad, the warriors get scared and takes his leave by saying that they will make him regret this. Mord sees all this and understands that not all intermediate warriors are in the same level. As the 2 warriors left, Woolsey introduce him to Mord and pull his hand forward to have a handshake with Mord. Mord shakes hand with Woolsey and says that it would be more appropriate if he will address Woolsey as his senior. Woolsey replies that calling Sir Woolsey would be fine, as if he gets into details like that, the 2 warriors that just left are also his senior. Woolsey also says that the true ranking of a warrior is not about age or rank, but to honor someone for the mere reason that they were here longer is quite funny. Mord agrees with Woolsey's statement. He then asked Woolsey that what is there for him if he joined Viden, the 6th young master's side. Woolsey replied to Mord that since he is a rising star, he had brought a set of offers to suit him. Woolsey then gets closer to Mord and says that anyways the offer doesn't mean anything as he will do whatever it takes to take him to his lord, and even it means beating him to a pulp. Woolsey also tells Mord to get a grip on the reality and not to be so excited just because he beats up an old fool. Mord understands that Woolsey is here to take a fight with him, and it seems like his only intention is to take Mord by force. Mord finds this situation beneficial for him, as he will be able to see the affects of the training in the god of combat's grave. Mord then offers Woolsey that they should have a fight. After that, both of them moves to the training ground. Mord then asked Woolsey that if he needs a weapon, as it seems like he is not a bloodline of Vernars. By releasing mana, Woolsey says that although he is not a bloodline descendant of Vernars, but he don't use things like swords in the first place, as he has something much stronger than that. After that, the mana wraps around the hand of Woolsey and takes the shape of a gauntlet, and this technique name is Impulse Gauntlet. Sir Mord, I heard that you barely won against the instructor by using your divine blood. This Impulse Gauntlet is an advanced skill that beginner warriors like you could never imitate. Since you can't use this, Your chances of defeating me without using divine blood is 0. Woolsey says this to Mord. Later then, he gets shocked to see that Mord has copied the impulse gauntlet and gets ready to fight. Woolsey gets a bit nervous, as there is no way Mord would learn this in just 4 days. While Woolsey was in shock, Mord rushed towards him and says that if he thinks that he would be the same, despite 4 days passed by. Saying this, Mord kicked Woolsey and pushed him back. Mord didn't stop there. He again rushed at him and punched the ground in front of Woolsey. The ground shatters and Woolsey falls on the ground. Woolsey gets that Mord is too strong. He then thinks that Mord has been hiding his strength, as it is impossible to improve this. Much is just 4 days. He then gets up and laughs, saying that he is impressive while he was underestimating him. Mord begins to amplify his mana and tells Woolsey not to be so surprised, as it is just a warm-up. From the amount of mana coming from Mord, Woolsey gets curious and asked Mord that why he was hiding his strength when he was fighting Instructor Daisley. Mord thinks that it would be a waste of time explaining it to him, as he would not believe him, as there is no way a person can get so much stronger in just 4 days. But however, for Mord, there are 2 things that make this possible. First, the blessing of the body of the god of combat. This blessing not only allows him to use authority, but brings out his innate talent. As a result, both his physical abilities and mana are able to grow dramatically. The second is using the world fragment as a mana source. From his memories of the novel, he was able to figure out how to use it, although he hasn't used the world fragment yet. As Mord stays silent, Woolsey gets that he has no intention of answering him. Woolsey then tells Mord that as he has underestimated him, so he will show him his full power. Saying this, Woolsey begins to release mana, and his body also begins to change. Mord sees this and gets shocked as the body of Woolsey starts to turn into a wolf. Mord remembers this phenomenon as within the novel, there are people who have been afflicted with the full moon curse. While most of them change under the full moon, attacking humans as they are consumed by rage, but there are those few individuals that have overcome the curse are able to use that power whenever they please. A fused form of human and beast, they are called lycanthropes. Woolsey gets a lot bigger, but in terms of mana, Mord is still above him. Mord then attacks Woolsey, but his attack has been blocked and he has been pushed back by Woolsey. Woolsey then tells Mord that even though he is better in mana than him, but he has gotten a lot bigger and stronger. Saying this, Woolsey pushed Mord, and as he is about to trip over, Woolsey punched him in the face and sent him flying. Mord flies away and hits the wall hard and makes a dent on it. He also bleeds from his mouth. While whipping the blood, Mord thinks in his mind that Woolsey is stronger than he thought, but not to the point where he need to use his divine blood. So to sum it up, he is above him in terms of mana, but Woolsey is stronger and has a better build than his, so this balances out. Mord gets up and tells Woolsey that they should end this. Hearing this, Woolsey laughs and says that if he is submitting because he thinks he is going to lose to him without using his divine blood. Mord replies that if he use it, he is not confident that he won't kill him. Woolsey then said Mord to stop bluffing and quickly release his divine blood. Mord says that he will not do that and he will defeat him in one go. Woolsey laughs and mocks him, saying that he is getting beat up until now, so how it is possible that he will defeat him without using divine blood. Mord then tells him that he can defeat him in one go, as he hasn't gone all out yet. Saying this, Mord starts to use the world fragment. The person who possesses the world fragment is able to use it by drawing out their mana. And after Mord cleared the god of combat's grave, he was successful in drawing out the fragment's mana with the training method. He read in the novel. Since he only have one fragment, he can only be blessed with the god of combat's body for 20 seconds. Mord starts to draw mana from the world fragment by seeing this. Woolsey gets a bit scared and says to Mord that he really a monster. Woolsey then rushed towards Mord and launched an attack. Mord easily dodges all the attacks and moves towards Woolsey. As he gets closer, he kicks him, but Woolsey blocks it. The kick was a trick so that Woolsey uses his both arms to block it. Mord then creates an impulse ball and throws it to Woolsey. Getting hit by the impulse ball, Woolsey flies away and hits the roof of Mord's house and breaks it. The other warriors that were present there gets worried about Woolsey. Woolsey is laying on the floor and thinks that he has lost, and now he cannot show his face to his master Viden. While thinking of his master, he recalls the conversation between him and Viden. Viden tells him that Mord will be a huge help for their position, so Viden requests for Woolsey's strength to bring him over on their side. Recalling this, Woolsey gets up and again comes in front of Mord, but this time his appearance has changed a bit and he has grown a bit bigger. Seeing the sudden power of Woolsey, Mord thinks that this is his last trump card, so Mord also wants to take this seriously and starts to awaken his divine blood. As the fight is about to begin at that time, Erna Vernars comes and hits Woolsey and knocks him out. Seeing this, the other warrior rushes to her and says that what she is doing as Woolsey is carrying out young Master Viden's orders. If they had continued, one of them would have died, and the one who had a higher chance of dying was Woolsey. Erna says this to the warriors. She also said that as Woolsey hasn't perfected his second transformation, he has lost his consciousness and went crazy. Hearing her, the warriors understands the situation. She then orders the warriors to take Woolsey to the recovery room. Erna then moved towards Mord and introduces herself and says that she will give him special permission to call her older sister. Mord finds it cringy, so he declines her. After that, we can see that Erna is in her room and she is feeling embarrassed. Her butler then tells that as Mord is an illegitimate son, so he is worried of the legitimate ones. She understands it, and also she is impressed that Mord has defeated Woolsey without using his divine blood. Her butler is also shocked at this matter as Woolsey is a warrior who is about to be a high-rank warrior and Mord has defeated him easily. The butler also says that due to his incident, the competition of recruiting Mord will be higher. While they were talking about this, a warrior came rushing in and tell that Viscount Winsel has announced that Mord will accompany him on the Manhwa obstruction mission. Hearing this, Erna gets shocked. After that, we can see that the house of Mord is completely repaired, and Woolsey is the one who provided all the repairing cost as a compensation. While Mord is standing in front of his house, he notices that Sir Kessner is waiting for him in his house. Seeing him, Mord quickly gets up and sits in a room with Sir Kessner. Kessner tells Mord that why he is always causing a scene. Mord replies that he has nothing to do. All the people wants a piece of him. Kessner then tells Mord that in 10 days, he and his subordinates are going to complete a task and if he would like to join them. Mord asked about the details of the task, and Kessner replies that it is to prevent demonification. While the existence of monsters within demonified dungeons and normal dungeons remain the same, they are different in terms of their origin. Most ordinary dungeons are merely natural occurrences or accidents. However, demonification is a purposeful act of demons trying to take over the humanity. Not only do monsters appear in the dungeons, but strong demons as well, playing a vital role. Demonification can be categorized into 3 stages of progression. Stage 1 is when an unknown vortex appears. Stage 2 is when the vortex solidifies and it becomes possible to enter. Stage 3 is when the nearby land gets corrupted and beings of the demonic realm become much more powerful if the demonification progression isn't stopped by Stage 3. That is when a dungeon break occurs. Once a dungeon break occurs, both worlds will be fully connected and demonic beings will start entering the human world. Since Stage 3 is when damage is caused to the human world, it is ideal to stop things during Stage 2. Also, only those who have awakened their divine blood are able to reach the heart of the stage, 2 dungeons, and destroy its core. That is the reason why the Vernars family, who possess the god of combat's blood, is considered precious. Kessner also tells Mord that it is a great opportunity for warriors like him, but this place is really dangerous as a lot of people has died there, so he tells Mord to decide carefully. Mord thinks that as Kessner is the Archduke's confidant, and if he puts a good impression on him, it will be a huge help for him later on. And also, as he is tried of dealing with people like Woolsey, he thinks that it is worth to take on the risk. After thinking for a while, Mord decides to go with Kessner and his subordinates. He then asked Kessner that when will we start training. Later on, Kessner takes Mord to the training ground where all the other subordinates of his are training. He introduces Mord to all of them and tells all the achievements of his, such as defeating Woolsey and Instructor Daisley. Mord looks at them and thinks that as they are Kessner subordinates, so all them must be an advanced level warrior. So he thinks that they will not accept him as he is just a new warrior. Mord decides to prove his strength. At that time, a brown-haired boy comes in front and holds his hands and greets him nicely, and saying that he has heard rumors about him being the super rookie. Mord gets totally confused to see them accepting him so easily. All the other subordinates all greets Mord Kestner, then stops them and tells them to focus. He tells them to focus on team working for the next 10 days, as he will be leaving for the god of combat's grave. He then tells Eriksson to take care to Mord. As Kestner leaves, Eriksson goes to Mord, tells that he is Eriksson, an advanced warrior. He so introduces Mord with another advanced warrior, Reki. He further says to Mord that Riki and him are both from bloodlines that are not of the Werners. So his role will be to work with Reki and support Sir Kestner at the center of our formation. After finishing the introduction part, Eriksson tells everyone to get ready for some training. 10 days later, we can see Kestner has successfully completed the God of Combat's grave. People congratulate him for clearing it successfully. Kestner thanks them and quickly comes to the training ground. As he arrives, he sees that Mord is training by seeing his strength. Kestner gets shocked as how quickly he gets this powerful. Seeing Kestner, Eriksson comes running to him and greets him. Kestner asked him about Mord's training. Eriksson replies that they have managed to teach him the important formations. But since he's not training in magic combat, they are focusing on his basic abilities first. They are also teaching him how to utilize his physical reinforcement to nullify venoms. Hearing this, Kestner asked Eriksson that what he thinks about Mord. He is quick on the uptake. However, what's more impossible to believe is the time he's able to keep his divine blood awakened. He's able to maintain it as long as Riki Eriksson says this to Kestner. Kestner gets shocked as increasing the amount of time one can last in that state is not something one can achieve within a short period of time, and despite having only awakening his divine blood recently, he's on par with Reki, who awakened 12 years ago. Mord is sparring with Riki and finds it really fun, as every time he learns something new, he can feel himself growing stronger. Then in the next morning, everyone is ready to go to the mission area. Kestner then again asked them if they are fully ready for his mission, as it will be a really dangerous one. Eriksson replies that they will be fine with Mord around them. Kestner then looks at Mord and asked him that if he is sure that they can return safely. Mord answered yes with a confident face. After that, all of them depart towards the mission area.